Try to pile on more work to increase your bonus? Not gonna happen. I oversee a team of a dozen folks when it's fully staffed. We had a fellow move out of state for school. A lady retire to care for her grandkids when her daughter got sick. Then 3 people promote up within the organization all within 4 weeks' time. So almost one half the team suddenly became unavailable. While I'm involved in the recruiting, onboarding process, management up to 3 levels above me tends to be a bottleneck. Each time someone let me know they were moving on, I informed management and gave them a running total. We're at 84% staffing. We're at 66% staffing, etc. Ads were placed. First round interviews conducted by me and a team lead. Second interviews recommended to the next level of management. And that's where the process suddenly stopped. For a week. Then 2. Then 3. It commonly takes 2 to 3 weeks after hire to bring a new person up to speed to start being productive. And perhaps 8 weeks for a new person to reach 90 to 95% of median productivity goals. The existing team was ready to pull together and work harder to keep up with the work. But I took each one aside and coached them that the heavy workload they were under was not their problem to solve. Yes. Customers were complaining. Yes. Other groups in the organization were getting frustrated that our team wasn't getting things done in a timely fashion. I encouraged them to work efficiently and well, but to not put in extra unpaid time or contribute their own resources to projects. And if anyone was insistent in their complaints regarding the team's productivity, send them to me and I would explain the situation. Middle and upper management across the organization started vocalizing about how little work was getting done. When I played the Uno reverse card that, hey, all we need is adequate, well-trained staff and we'll be able to keep up. And managers 1, 2, and probably exec 1 all have potential interviewees on their desk for almost a month now. I started getting the stink eye from those folks. I found out later that one or a couple of those folks that I report to, and were also the next rungs in the hiring ladder, had proposed the idea that this team could run just as well a little leaner. So they arranged to find out. Opsy daisy. Metrics indicated that organizational goals weren't met because of their decision. But I was able to provide the stats that proved that the team's individual goals were met. And that in many respects per person efficiencies were improved. My team members got their bonus. Middle management failed to achieve. So no bonus for them that year. TLDR. Middle management tries to dump the workload of 12 on 7. Loses bonus when we don't break ourselves to meet their unreasonable demand. Signs of a good manager. Not letting your team kill themselves so upper management can get more money. I have seen so many times where they will just leave the team short-staffed until everyone broke themselves trying to keep up. Well done. Congrats on backing up and looking out for your team. 2 years ago I was part of a team of 6. Then 2 were let go. Then another left for a new job. Then the pandemic and 1 was laid off. Then another hit her breaking point and left. By May I was the only one left. I tried but didn't run myself into the ground. Had a meltdown on my boss and got a substantial raise. Let a lot of things go as I prioritized my tasks. We're back up to 5 now and the auditors are asking questions about why stuff wasn't done in the latter part of 2019 and early of 2020. Oops. I bluntly told the auditors that we had a drastic staff decrease and I was not able to do the work of 6 people. They understood completely, but middle management is now scrambling to do all the missed work. And I got another raise because absolutely nothing in my job description was pinged by the auditors. trying to run leaner sounds like they're basically taking advantage of your team and see if they can pull it off with your team worked into the ground. What a bunch of a-holes. Good for you for protecting your team. I'm stuck in a similar situation at work right now, where my coworkers and I are pressured to complete unreasonable amount of work. We're currently understaffed, so heavy workloads are affecting our mental health. It borderline annoys me that this is malicious compliance and not just the standard way to behave. In those circumstances, good on you for not letting your team kill themselves. You're the best kind of manager. Especially talking to each member individually like that and making them all aware of why you were doing it that way. That's a textbook definition of fuck around and find out. Great work. Honestly, good on you for sticking to your guns and not only making your employees work longer hours to pick up the slack, like many other bosses would, but actively saying no. You're absolutely right. If the workload cannot be handled by the current staff during the allotted work hours, then more staff is needed. Not saying that trimming the fat, so to speak, is a bad idea at all times, since sometimes it does make sense. But cutting your department in half and still expecting the same output is absurd. I worked for a Fortune 500 company as part of a technical team. We had 14 people when I joined the team, and everyone was kept busy with what was an incredibly detail-oriented job. Then the company laid off 2 people. We waited and everyone worked harder. Then they lost another 2 to other companies, departments, and laid off more. After a year of this, we were down to 5 people doing the work that was once done by 14. Everyone in the team was working 12-plus-hour days. But we definitely weren't paid anywhere near enough to be working doctor's hours. Our pay was at the bottom end for our industry, and the job should have been an hourly one with overtime paid. The company was lucky none of us brought what they were doing to the attention of state regulators. That continued for months until one day I asked about the status of bringing in new hires. After all those months of absurd hours, the VP responded, "We're looking into possibly hiring more people. But that hasn't been decided yet." Wrong thing to say. That was it for me. I informed my management and the rest of the team that I would no longer be working 12-hour days and would be leaving at 6 p.m. at the latest. I literally dropped what I was doing at 6 p.m. and walked out the door. If I was in a meeting with 15 people, I excused myself and left. Everyone else worked longer hours, but I told them that if our management didn't care enough about the work to staff us correctly, I was done fixing the problem for them. Ultimately, the shit hit the fan. Our internal customers started screaming because work that would previously get done in 24 hours or less took 3 to 5 days. Sometimes longer. Our external customers were screaming because they were no longer hitting their targets because of my company. Everyone else on my team was doing a crappy, half-assed job because they were so stressed and overworked. Management could not continue doing nothing with pressure coming from everywhere about the work not getting done. They finally started hiring more people. What was really interesting is that every other person on the team got verbal or written warnings because of the half-assed work they were doing, except for me. My standing within the company actually improved because of what I had done. And people respected me for having stood up to management when management wasn't doing their job. The fact that refusing unreasonable demands actually increased my standing within a large company was a lesson that has served me well, and one I always remember. As I read this, I was thinking that I'd seen this recently. It was posted as a comment to another story that said, I enjoyed rereading it and the way you were able to stick it to management and take care of your team. Great job. So many companies are trying this. I've been encouraging friends and coworkers to keep their productivity up. But don't go to 110%. Because that will become the new baseline to management. Then they'll want 120, 130, etc. They'll squeeze you like a lemon until nothing is left. And either lay you off or just work you until you quit. IT always starts with management declaring, "We're going to do more with less." What a great way of paraphrasing. Management believes employees are not already working as hard as they can and need to be pushed harder. Quote, "My last company put a hiring freeze in when my former group was down maybe 20% already. I left for more money. The company also pays below the market average. It wasn't being driven by even VP level management. It was above them, in the levels that never see a frontline worker and never know their names or what they do, but collect bonuses based on what those people do. It has to stop. And thanks to the employee shortage, it's an optimum time to push back hard. Companies willing to abuse their workers can be punished in this job market. And should be. It's the only way we'll manage to balance employee pay and quality of life versus the ridiculously bloated CEO-level compensation." I was involved with an organization that was notorious for how long their hiring process was. We'd post an ad in March, start interviews in July, and extend offers around November. By the time we got around to interviews, over half our candidates were no longer interested. By the time we were ready to hire, our top choices were not available. We basically had to settle for the folks who couldn't get a job for the better part of the previous year. In other words, we were shooting ourselves in the foot and always hired the candidates that were least qualified, least desirable. I tried to point out that if we could streamline our hiring process and make faster decisions, we'd end up hiring better people. No one wanted to hear it. They were drinking their own Kool-Aid. Nope. They felt that our place was prestigious. Narrator. It wasn't. They said that the best candidates will wait for us because they want to work here so bad. Narrator. They didn't. We were overworked and underpaid and always hiring. I am no longer working for the prestige. Alternative TLDR. Op has a dozen good eggs in his team. Middling manager tries to scramble things up by not replacing the ones who leave. He was heard saying, "Oh, let them go." Op is hard-boiled about management's lack of progress in hiring replacements. Op ensures yokes on them. Year ends sunny side up for the team and they still get their bonus. Middling manager was a rotten egg who doesn't get a bonus. So last place of employment our supervisor quits and they offered me his job. I asked for a pay raise and said, "Well, I would love to do it if you paid me for my work." They went around to their second, third, fourth choices all the way around and everybody gave them the same story. I did extra work means extra pay. Then they offered the position to the least qualified guy and he took it for no extra pay. He eventually ended up doing 20+ extra hours a week, and when that made him grumpy I told him in a large jovial tone, "Yeah, but that's why you took the position, for the extra pay." Just to watch the blood vessel on his head twitch. Yep. People need to learn to not work harder to overcome short staffing. Not enough staff? Stuff just doesn't get done. It's my experience that the only group of people that aren't missed when leaning out a company is management. Yet they are always the last, if ever, to go. Fantastic job standing up for your team. I wish every team leader was like you. You can only do what you can do. This is the kind of happy ending that we should see more often. Working harder due to staffing shortages, intentional or not, only makes somebody's poor decision look good. Good on you for being the good manager. Opsy daisy! Exclamation mark. And, middle manglement.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.